Welcome to the Human Meme Podcast. I'm David Bowles, and today we get to explore together the ideas and fascinations of a shared aesthetic. The human universal beautiful. In the fall of 1984, I was sitting in a darkened lecture hall at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, watching slides click through a Kodak Carousel projector. Greek marble, Benin bronze, Mughal miniature, Japanese woodblock. The professor's argument was plain. These works endured because they were beautiful, and beauty was the thread that connected every person in that room to every person who had ever stood before the original object. Down the hall in a different semester, a film professor made a different case. Beauty, he said, was larger than prettiness. The ugly, the reprehensible, the fantastic, the comic. All of these were forms of beauty because all of them enchanted and instructed. A movie theater was a secular chapel. We watched together because beauty is a collective event. Both professors were right. Both were incomplete. And the question that has taken me 40 years to formulate is the question my new book, The Human Universal Beautiful, attempts to answer. If beauty connects and instructs, who controls the connection? Who writes the lesson plan? The answer, it turns out, is institutions. Families, religions, empires, schools, museums, studios, clinics, gyms, laboratories, algorithms. They take the raw human capacity to perceive beauty, and they shape it into a system that determines who is seen, who is valued, who is hired, who is loved, who is punished, and who is erased. That process, which I call institutional conversion, is the subject of this book. Here is what it means in concrete terms. An infant, hours old, unable to speak or walk or feed itself, will look longer at a face that adults rate as attractive. That finding has been replicated across multiple populations and stimulus types. Something in the perceptual system responds to certain facial configurations before any cultural instruction begins. That is the biological raw material. But no civilization has ever left that raw material alone. Greece built a proportional canon, embedded it in gymnasium training, and made it the foundation of Western art education for 2 millennia. Egypt encoded the human figure in a grid of 18 squares and transmitted it across 3,000 years of workshop practice. South Asian sculptors followed the prescriptions of the Shilpa Shastras, where incorrect proportions in a deity statue were ritual errors, not merely aesthetic ones. The Mende of Sierra Leone transmitted beauty standards through the Sanda Society's initiation rituals. The Maya reshaped the skulls of their infants, producing a beauty standard that no biological model can predict and no other civilization shared. Each of these systems started from the same human capacity for aesthetic response. Each built something different from it, and each determined, for the people who lived within it, what beauty looked like, who possessed it, and what it cost to achieve, or to lack it. The book crosses disciplines because the argument requires it. Biologists do not write about colonialism, feminists do not write about infant perception, race scholars do not write about Greek sculpture, art historians do not write about cosmetic surgery. This book crosses every one of those boundaries because beauty belongs to no single discipline, and any attempt to contain it within one will produce a book that is accurate about its chosen domain and silent about everything else. The racial chapter was the hardest to write and the most necessary. Johann Friedrich Blumenbach coined the word Caucasian in 1795 because he believed a skull from Georgia represented the most beautiful form of the human cranium. Beauty was the criterion for his racial taxonomy. From there, the line runs through colonial casta paintings in Mexico, through the Kodak Shirley card that calibrated color photography for white skin, through Hollywood lighting systems designed for white faces, through skin lightening industries worth billions of dollars, through cosmetic surgery producing race-specific beauty ideals in Seoul and Tehran and Sao Paulo. The conversion of skin color from a biological variation into a global hierarchy of worth is one of the most durable institutional achievements in human history, and the book traces it with the specificity it demands. The gender chapter required equal precision. Susan Sontag wrote in 1972 that aging diminishes women's social value far more rapidly than it diminishes men's. 50 years later, the gendered beauty system she described has been modified but not dismantled. Women still bear a disproportionate share of beauty labor, beauty cost, and beauty punishment. Men still operate under beauty expectations that are real but linguistically disguised. A man is commanding or distinguished, where a woman is beautiful or fading. The vocabulary itself is a concealment strategy. The book ends in the present tense, and the present tense is strange. Generative systems can now produce images of human faces that are indistinguishable from photographs of living people. In controlled tests, human subjects perform at chance levels in distinguishing real from synthetic, and in some conditions rate the synthetic faces as more trustworthy. The synthetic face has no birthday, no history, no body, no aging process, and no rights. It is pure image, and its beauty is manufactured entirely by algorithm. This breaks something fundamental. Throughout the entire history I trace in the book, the beauty system has been organized around human bodies. Living people benefited from beauty premiums, suffered from beauty penalties, and labored at beauty production. When beauty images no longer require living people, the system's anchor in human experience weakens. Beauty becomes a property of images rather than a property of persons. The question that emerged from those two Nebraska classrooms in 1984, the question of who holds the projector, has acquired a new urgency. The projector can now generate its own slides. The Human Universal Beautiful is published by David Bowles Books and is available now as an ebook and in paperback. The subtitle is How Civilizations See, Shape, and Rank the Human Form, and the book does exactly what that subtitle promises. 10 chapters, a conclusion, and a selected bibliography, organized by the 8 scholarly traditions the argument draws on. It is the book I have spent 40 years learning how to write. Somewhere the slides are still clicking. The carousel has only grown larger. The question now is whether we can see the projector as clearly as we see the image on the screen. For the Human Meme Podcast, I'm David Bowles, wishing you a beautiful evening and a more human tomorrow. Thanks for listening. Be a human meme